The city of New Haven woke up under a quiet sky. Birds chirped, children laughed in the streets, and the morning sun reflected off glass towers. On the surface, Earth seemed untouched by the endless war raging across the galaxy. Humans lived their lives as they always had, unaware of how close danger had come. In the halls of the United Earth Council, however, things were far from calm. Leaders from every nation argued, raising voices and pointing fingers. The council chamber was tense, heated debates echoing off polished marble walls. Earth cannot afford to get involved, shouted Counselor Maya Reynolds, her hand slamming against the table. We have our own people to protect. Look at what's happening in the outer colonies. This war is not ours. Her counterpart, General Marcus Venn, stood tall, his uniform immaculate, his eyes hard. Neutrality is a luxury we can no longer afford. The warring factions are stronger than ever. If a single stray missile hits our cities, we'll be helpless. Earth cannot hide forever. Outside the council chambers, the streets were filled with ordinary citizens going about their lives. News screens showed battles in distant star systems, fleets of ships moving like metal storms, lasers and explosions painting the black of space. For most people, it was entertainment, something far away that could not touch them. But the calm was deceptive. Somewhere, beyond the atmosphere, a single object drifted silently. Its shape was unfamiliar, sleek, and deadly. It moved without sound, guided by forces humans could not understand. In a few hours, it would change everything. At New Haven Spaceport, Commander Elena Park checked the city's orbital defense grid. She was meticulous, her hands moving over holographic controls with ease. Alerts blinked on the main panel, a soft red warning pulsing rhythmically. Another anomaly in low orbit, muttered her assistant, a young officer named David Lee. It's small, but fast. It doesn't match any known craft in our database. Elena frowned. Could it be a satellite from the outer colonies? She asked. David shook his head. No. This is different. It's not human. Not from any faction we know. Elena's heart raced. They had protocols for unidentified objects, but nothing prepared them for what was coming. She ordered the warning be sent to the council, but by then, the object was already too close. In the quiet of a rural settlement called Haven's End, families enjoyed the weekend. Children ran across fields, chasing each other under the wide, open sky. Parents watched with smiles, some taking pictures, some preparing meals. Life was ordinary, simple, safe. No one noticed the small glint of metal falling from the sky, moving faster than any shooting star. In an instant, everything changed. The missile struck without warning. There was a flash, so bright it turned day into night for a second. Buildings collapsed, fires erupted, and the screams of the terrified filled the air. Dust and debris clouded the horizon, and a silence heavier than death followed the chaos. Back at the council chambers, the news arrived like a hammer blow. Holographic images of the destroyed settlement appeared in the center of the room. Members gasped, some recoiling, some clutching the edges of their chairs. General Venn did not flinch. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. This is what I warned you about. Earth can no longer pretend it is safe. We are part of this war now, whether we like it or not. Counselor Reynolds sank into her seat. Her fingers shook as she touched the holographic display, showing burnt homes, overturned vehicles, and the cries of survivors. How could this happen? Who would do such a thing? No one had answers. The missile's origin was unknown. There were no markings, no signals, no identification. It was as if it had appeared from nowhere. Outside, helicopters flew over the ruined settlement, carrying rescue teams. Soldiers, doctors, and volunteers worked together to pull survivors from the rubble. Many were injured, some beyond help. The survivors spoke in hushed tones, terrified and confused. It came out of the sky so fast and then fire, a young boy stammered. His mother held him tightly, rocking him back and forth. Why? Why would anyone do this? Elena Park watched from the spaceport as the images streamed in. She felt a deep, gnawing unease. Something was not right. This was no accident. Someone or something had tested Earth's defenses. Across the world, the reaction was immediate. Citizens demanded answers. News channels broadcasted live from the site, showing the devastation in real time. Social media erupted with fear, anger, and confusion. Earth was united in shock, but divided in opinion. Political leaders struggled to respond. Some called for calm, insisting that humanity must not panic. Others demanded immediate action, military retaliation, investigation, and preparation for war. Meanwhile, the Council realized they faced a dilemma far greater than the destroyed settlement. Earth had refused to join the intergalactic war for decades, believing that neutrality would keep them safe. Now, that illusion was shattered. The missile had been a warning. Whoever sent it had the power to strike anywhere, anytime. And Earth had no idea how vulnerable it truly was. In New Haven, scientists and engineers scrambled to understand the attack. They studied fragments of the missile, trying to trace its origin. But there were no clues. The technology was unlike anything seen before. Materials shimmered with strange energy, and the design suggested intelligence far beyond human comprehension. "This isn't just a weapon," Elena said, her eyes narrowing. "It's a message. Whoever did this wants us to react." Her assistant nodded. "But how? We don't know who they are. We don't even know if they are aliens or humans." Elena ran a hand through her hair, frustration and fear mingling. "Then we find out. We can't wait. Earth cannot stay blind anymore." Back at the council, a tense silence settled over the room. Leaders exchanged wary glances, realizing that every decision now carried the weight of survival. Earth could no longer pretend to be neutral. Every action, every hesitation could cost lives. In the night sky, satellites recorded faint movements of distant ships. Unknown to humans, a few observers watched Earth closely. Advanced species in far-off systems noted the missile strike, studying humanity's reaction. Some smiled, seeing potential. Others frowned, worried that humans were unpredictable and dangerous. For the citizens of Haven's End, life would never be the same. Families mourned their dead, rebuilt their homes, and tried to grasp why this had happened. Fear lingered in every corner. Every shadow in the sky became a possible threat. And yet, in the heart of the chaos, hope remained. Humans were resilient. They adapted, they survived, and they learned quickly. The strike had awakened a new reality. Earth could no longer be a bystander. As dawn broke over the ruined settlement, a single thought echoed in the minds of everyone, from council leaders to ordinary citizens. Earth was now part of a war it never chose. The missile had been the first warning. What would come next? No one knew. And that uncertainty, that fear, was only the beginning. The sun had barely risen over New Haven when alarms began to ring across the city. This time, it wasn't a test or a drill. Something in orbit was moving too fast to be friendly, and the faint hum of emergency sirens made the city tense and restless. Commander Elena Park watched the monitors from the New Haven Spaceport Command Center. Her eyes were bloodshot, her uniform wrinkled from endless hours of work. The missile strike at Haven's End had shaken Earth to its core, and now the city's orbital scanners were showing another anomaly. "Commander," her assistant David Lee said, pointing at the screen. "There's something huge, just outside Earth's orbit. It's cloaked. Almost invisible. But I can see a faint energy signature." Elena's heart skipped a beat. "Cloaked? You mean it's hiding from our sensors?" David nodded. "Yes, and it's moving in a pattern that doesn't make sense. Not like a ship from the outer colonies. Not like anything human." The council had already convened an emergency session. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the holographic table, which projected the ruins of Haven's End. Every counselor stared at the images, but now their focus shifted to the blinking red on the orbital scanner, a signal that didn't belong. Counselor Maya Reynolds spoke first, her voice trembling with barely concealed fear. "Commander Park, can we intercept it? Can we stop it?" Elena shook her head slowly. "We can't see it clearly enough. If it's cloaked, It could be anywhere. We might not even know its trajectory until it's too late. The general, Marcus Venn, slammed his fist on the table. We don't have the luxury of waiting. The missile that hit Haven's End was a warning. Whoever sent it, they are testing us. And if we don't act, more lives will be lost. Outside the council chamber, the world was changing fast. Military bases were mobilizing. Satellites in low orbit reoriented themselves, scanning the skies for anomalies. Citizens rushed to stores, boarding up windows and stocking up on essentials. Fear spread faster than any virus, and the once quiet streets were now filled with whispers of an unseen enemy. Meanwhile, at the ruins of Haven's End, rescue teams worked tirelessly. Doctors moved among the injured, soldiers cleared debris, and volunteers tried to comfort survivors. Among them, a young woman named Lyra Solis carried a small child in her arms. The child's father had died in the strike, and now she faced a choice: flee the settlement or stay to help those in need. As she moved through the rubble, Lyra noticed something strange. Among the charred remains, there were small fragments of metal that did not match the missile she had seen hit her town. The pieces shimmered with a strange energy, almost alive, humming faintly as if aware of their surroundings. Lyra's curiosity was dangerous, but she couldn't resist. She picked up one of the fragments, and the hum intensified. In that moment, she felt a presence, cold, distant, and calculating. It was as if something was watching her, studying her every move. Far above Earth, a silent fleet moved through the black of space. Ships of strange design, sleek and almost organic, drifted with precision. Their surfaces glimmered faintly under distant starlight, and at the helm of the largest ship, an alien figure observed the blue planet below. "Do they understand?" the alien whispered in a voice like wind over glass. Its companion, a smaller but equally strange being, shook its head. "No," the smaller being replied. "They reacted as expected, but unpredictably. They are resilient, dangerous in ways we did not anticipate." Back on Earth, the Council debated endlessly. Some argued for immediate retaliation against the unknown aggressor. Others urged caution, warning that striking blindly could provoke a far greater response. The debate grew heated, voices overlapping, anger and fear mixing in equal measure. Elena Park was frustrated. "We need facts," she shouted. "Not speculation. Not fear-mongering. Facts." One of the council's top scientists, Dr. Anil Khanna, stepped forward. His hands trembled slightly as he held a fragment of the missile that had destroyed Haven's End. "Commander, I've analyzed these fragments," he said. "They are unlike anything from Earth or known human colonies. The materials, the energy signature, it's advanced beyond our comprehension. Whoever did this is not human." A hush fell over the room. The words hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. "Aliens," someone whispered. Dr. Khanna nodded gravely. "It's the only explanation. And they're observing us, maybe testing us." Outside, the city remained unaware of the Council's revelations. But small, strange occurrences began to ripple across the globe. Satellites flickered. Communications briefly cut out. Some citizens reported seeing bright lights moving erratically in the night sky. No one knew whether it was a natural phenomenon or something more sinister. Elena felt a chill as she watched the monitors. "This is bigger than we thought," she muttered. "Much bigger." Meanwhile, Lyra Solis made her way back to the city, carrying the fragment carefully. She noticed that others were whispering about strange sightings too, strange noises in the sky, shadows that moved without explanation. Fear was spreading faster than the flames of the destroyed settlement. At the council, the debate shifted to a more dangerous question. Should Earth prepare for war? Councillor Reynolds argued fiercely for restraint. "We cannot fight what we do not understand. If we provoke them, they will destroy us. We must remain neutral." General Venn's eyes blazed. "Neutrality is gone. They tested us with a missile, and now they are watching our reaction. We have two choices: act before they strike again, or wait to be destroyed." Elena stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension. We can't do nothing. We have technology, intelligence, and people who are willing to defend their planet. But we must be smart. We cannot rush blindly into war against an enemy we don't understand. The Council reluctantly agreed to a temporary plan. Satellites would increase surveillance. Defense systems would be primed, and a special team would investigate any unusual activity, especially fragments like the one Lyra carried. As night fell over New Haven, the city lights flickered briefly. Across the globe, similar flickers appeared in major cities, faint but noticeable. People paused, looking up at the sky, sensing something unfamiliar, something dangerous. Lyra Solis, holding the shimmering fragment, felt a wave of unease. The object seemed almost alive in her hands. She had no idea what she was holding, but somehow, she knew it was important. That small piece of metal could hold the key to Earth's survival, or its destruction. In orbit, the alien fleet watched and calculated. They are clever, the lead alien murmured. And unpredictable. Earth may not survive if we force their hand, but perhaps they are worth observing. Perhaps they will surprise us. And on Earth, humans began to awaken to a terrifying truth. The world they knew, the world they thought was safe, no longer existed. The missile had shattered their illusion of security, and every decision from this point forward would carry consequences beyond imagination. The Council prepared for the worst. Citizens whispered of invasion, and the military scrambled for answers. Humanity's resilience was about to be tested like never before. And in the quiet darkness of space, shadows loomed closer, waiting for the next move. The question was no longer whether Earth would join the war. The question was, would Earth survive it? The night had fallen over Earth like a velvet curtain, but for those in the council chambers of New Haven, sleep was impossible. Every member sat stiffly in their chairs, staring at the glowing holographic table that displayed a rotating globe of their planet. Red dots flickered intermittently, satellite alerts, energy anomalies, fragments of unknown origin. Commander Elena Park leaned forward, her hands pressed against the table. "These signals," she said, pointing at a cluster of pulsating blue dots, "they're not natural. And they're not coming from any human-made system. Something, or someone, is deliberately trying to communicate." A scientist named Dr. Anil Khanna stepped forward, adjusting his glasses. "I've cross-referenced the energy patterns against all known alien transmissions detected by our outer colony scanners. These signals, they are coded. Complex patterns, but deliberate. Someone wants to be noticed." Counselor Maya Reynolds frowned. "So, what you're saying is someone attacked us with a missile, and now they're sending signals? Are they inviting us to war?" General Marcus Venn did not reply immediately. He walked slowly around the table, studying the globe. Not inviting. Testing. Prodding. They want to see how we respond, what our limits are. And judging by our current chaos, they're learning fast. Elena's mind raced. Then we need to intercept, translate, find out what they want before they strike again. The council debated, voices rising and falling like storm waves. Some members argued that responding to the signals could provoke further attacks. Others warned that ignoring them might invite another strike, or worse. Finally, a compromise was reached. A specialized task force would decode the signals in secrecy, away from public scrutiny, while the military prepared defensive measures. Across the world, civilians had begun to notice strange occurrences. Satellites flickered in unison, some communications briefly cut out, and in the skies above New Haven, faint lights danced erratically. People pointed, whispered, and stared. Rumors spread faster than wildfire. Some said it was a natural atmospheric phenomenon, while others whispered of extraterrestrial visitors. Meanwhile, Lyra Solis carried the fragment she had recovered from Haven's End with growing unease. Every time she touched it, it vibrated faintly, emitting pulses she could feel in her fingers. The hum was faint, almost musical, like it was trying to speak in a language she could not yet understand. She did not know that her fragment was part of a larger signal. Across the galaxy, alien observers monitored her every movement. Some ships had been cloaked, drifting silently in orbit, studying how humans reacted to the missile strike. And now, this fragment was acting as a beacon, a test to see if humans could detect and understand the complexity of the alien design. At the New Haven spaceport, Commander Park and her team were working around the clock to analyze incoming signals. Every pulse, every pattern, every anomaly was logged and cross-checked. Their computers were pushed to the limit, and the room was filled with the constant hum of machines and the occasional frustrated sigh from exhausted analysts. Then it happened. One of the signals suddenly changed. The pattern shifted from static pulses to something resembling a sequence of coordinates, accompanied by strange, rhythmic bursts. Elena and her team stared at the monitor in disbelief. "Coordinates to where?" she whispered. Dr. Khanna analyzed the data quickly. "They're pointing to multiple locations in Earth's orbit and one point in the solar system beyond Mars. But the energy signature, it's not just a location. It's a message. A warning." The council chamber was silent. Even the generals seemed taken aback. "Warning?" he asked. "Yes," Khanna said, his voice steady despite his concern. "They're telling us that if we act recklessly, more strikes like Haven's End will happen. And they're capable of targeting anywhere, anytime." Counselor Reynolds' face paled. "So, they're threatening us." Ven's jaw tightened. "Not threatening, testing. They want to see our limits. They want to see how far they can push us before we react." As the council deliberated, news channels reported strange lights above major cities worldwide. People gathered in parks, streets, and rooftops, staring at the glowing streaks that twisted and shimmered in impossible patterns. Some tried to photograph them. Others simply stood in awe. In a hidden lab beneath New Haven, a small group of linguists and mathematicians worked feverishly to decode the signals. The patterns were unlike any human language, yet there was logic, repetition, and intent. Hours passed with no breakthroughs, until a young analyst named Mara Chin noticed something peculiar. The patterns resembled the frequencies emitted by Lyra's fragment. Mara's eyes widened. "Commander, I think these signals are connected to the fragment recovered from Haven's End. It's part of their system. A key, maybe, or a translator." Elena's heart raced. "Then we need to bring it here, immediately. It may be our only way to communicate or understand the next move." Lyra arrived at the lab, clutching the fragment tightly. The hum was stronger now, almost insistent. As she placed it on the analysis table, the fragment pulsed brightly, and a pattern projected into the air, a three-dimensional lattice of light, rotating slowly, like a cosmic puzzle. Everyone in the room stared, mouths agape. The fragment was alive in a way no one could explain. And then, faintly, a voice seemed to echo in the room, not through speakers, but inside their minds. "Do not strike. Observation is key. Survival depends on understanding." Mara gasped. "It's speaking to us. Or transmitting thoughts." Elena's hands shook slightly as she touched the projection. This is incredible. They're giving us instructions. They don't want to destroy us yet, but they're testing how we respond. Outside, the skies remained restless. Satellites recorded more anomalies, and the lights above New Haven twisted and flickered in strange geometrical patterns. Ordinary citizens were terrified. Some fled to shelters, others took to social media, spreading images and rumors. Humanity was awakening to a reality far larger than itself. Meanwhile, the council debated the fragment's implications. Some argued it was proof of alien intelligence, an opportunity to communicate. Others warned that trusting it could be a trap, a way to manipulate Earth's reaction and force humans into war. Ven's voice cut through the tension. "This is what I've been warning you all along. Neutrality is gone. Every choice, every hesitation, will be measured. And if we fail, Haven's End will not be the last settlement lost." Elena turned to the council. "Then we must understand them. Not fight blindly. Not panic. Every move we make now should be calculated, cautious, but decisive." In the dark of space, the alien observers noted Earth's activity. They are responding differently than expected, said the lead alien, its form shimmering like liquid metal. Their intelligence, their resilience, it is remarkable. They may be unpredictable, but that is what makes them fascinating. A smaller alien figure tilted its head. Do we escalate? Or continue to observe? The lead alien's gaze remained fixed on the blue planet below. Observe.
For now.
Let them learn. Let them awaken. Their next decision will tell us more than any strike. The sun had barely begun to rise over New Haven when a decision was made that would change Earth forever. The council had debated for hours, but all hesitation had ended. Commander Elena Park, standing at the head of the room, looked at the holographic display of the fragment and the decoded signals. We can no longer wait, she said. They are testing us, probing our defenses, and judging our reactions. If we do nothing, they will decide our fate for us. But if we act carefully, we might gain the advantage. General Marcus, Ben's jaw tightened. So, what do you propose? How do we act without provoking a full-scale attack? Elena pointed at the hologram of Earth and the distant signals. We respond, not with weapons, not with aggression, but with intelligence. We send a signal back, coded, deliberate, and cautious. We acknowledge them. We show that Earth is aware, prepared, and capable. And we do it in secret, before the public even knows. Counselor Maya Reynolds swallowed hard. You want diplomacy? With something we don't even know is human? Elena's gaze was steady. Not diplomacy yet. Observation and communication. It's the only way to survive this test. The council reluctantly approved the plan. Across the globe, teams of scientists, linguists, and engineers worked in secret. Every calculation was double-checked, every word scrutinized. Humanity was stepping into uncharted territory. At the New Haven spaceport, Lyra Solis sat quietly, the fragment resting on the table in front of her. It pulsed rhythmically, almost in time with her own heartbeat. The message it had transmitted yesterday was clear. Understanding, not fear, was the path forward. Elena approached Lyra. We need you to help us, she said. This fragment, it seems to respond to your presence. We believe it can help us communicate. Lyra nodded slowly, a mix of fear and determination in her eyes. I'll do it. If this is our chance to survive, I'll do whatever it takes. The team set up a massive array of transmitters and receivers, each linked to the fragment. Hours passed as patterns were tested, frequencies matched, and messages encoded. Then, finally, it worked. A response came, a subtle shift in the fragment's glow, a vibration that reverberated through the room. They've received it, Dr. Anil Khanna said, astonished. And they're responding. The response was not in words. It was a series of complex energy pulses synchronized with the fragment. To the untrained eye, it looked like random light, but to the analysts, it was a language, mathematical, rhythmic, deliberate. Mara Chin, the young analyst, leaned forward. It's acknowledging us. It's asking us to continue, to understand. But it's testing our patience, our logic, and our resolve. Elena felt a chill. Then we must answer carefully. Every move we make now is critical. Meanwhile, across the planet, ordinary citizens noticed strange anomalies. In Tokyo, London, and New York, satellites flickered and brief lights danced in the night sky. No one could explain them, but the fear was palpable. Governments issued statements about unexplained atmospheric phenomena, but the truth was far more complex. Humanity was no longer alone. Back in New Haven, the fragment pulsed again, stronger this time. Lyra reached out, and the pulse intensified. Images formed in the air, a holographic projection of distant stars, alien ships, and something that looked like a galaxy-wide map. This is a guide, Lyra whispered. They're showing us where they've been, where they're watching, and maybe where we fit in. Dr. Khanna's eyes widened. It's a map of their observation points. They've been watching Earth for decades, maybe centuries. Every settlement, every city, every military installation, they've calculated our responses, our resilience, our weaknesses. Elena's mind raced. So this was never just a missile strike. Haven's End, it was a test. A way to measure us. The hologram shifted, and for the first time, they saw a figure, a being entirely alien, neither humanoid nor familiar. Its form shimmered and shifted like liquid metal, and its presence radiated intelligence, patience, and something unnerving: calculation. Lyra gasped. It's still alive, but not like us. It's still where? The alien figure projected another pulse, and this time, a pattern of lights formed around the fragment. Mara interpreted it quickly. It's asking us to make the first move, to show initiative, to prove that Earth is not just reactive, but capable of strategy. Elena's voice was steady but urgent. Then we do it. We take the first step, but carefully. We show them Earth can think, adapt, and survive. But we do not attack. We only communicate. Hours passed as the team prepared the transmission. Lyra held the fragment tightly, feeling its pulse guide them. Every word, every frequency, every pattern had to be perfect. One mistake could be catastrophic. Finally, the transmission was ready. With a deep breath, Elena activated the array. The fragment pulsed brightly, and the signal shot into space, a deliberate beacon of awareness, intelligence, and caution. The alien observers, hidden in orbit around the solar system, reacted immediately. The lead figure's eyes, or whatever passed for eyes, narrowed in intrigue. They understand the test, it murmured. They are not just reacting, they are choosing. That is unexpected. A smaller alien figure tilted its head. Do we accelerate the test? Push them further. The lead figure's gaze remained on the blue planet below. Not yet. Let them prove their understanding. Let them awaken. Their choices will tell us more than any strike ever could. Back on Earth, the team watched the fragment's pulsing response. It was slow at first, almost contemplative, then it intensified, a rhythm that seemed to speak directly to their minds. Words formed, not in letters but as concepts, feelings, and logic. Lyra understood first. They're impressed, but cautious. They want to see if we can adapt, not just react. Elena nodded. Then we prepare for the next step. Observation. Study. Anticipation. Humanity must think ahead, or we will fail. Meanwhile, across the world, other strange events began to unfold. Satellites recorded unexplained energy bursts near major cities. Aircraft reported fleeting glimpses of objects moving faster than anything known to humans. And in some rural areas, the night sky shimmered with colors that defied explanation. Citizens panicked, some fleeing to shelters, others trying to record the phenomena. Governments struggled to maintain order. News channels spun tales of natural occurrences and atmospheric anomalies, but the truth was far stranger. Humanity was being observed, studied, and tested by beings whose technology and intelligence dwarfed anything Earth had ever known. At the council, debate continued. Some members argued for immediate disclosure, to inform the public and prepare for potential conflict. Others warned that revealing too much could cause panic and chaos, leaving humanity vulnerable. Elena's voice cut through the tension. We cannot let fear dictate our actions. This is a test of intelligence, strategy, and patience. If we react with panic or aggression, we fail. If we act with wisdom, we survive, and maybe even thrive. Lyra felt the fragment pulse one final time that night, sending a message she could feel in her bones. Your first move has been noted. You are awake. Observe. Understand. Prepare. The next challenge will reveal your true potential. And for the first time, humanity realized that this war, this test, was not just about missiles or attacks or even survival. It was about intelligence, patience, and the ability to think beyond fear. The first move had been made, and the consequences would ripple across Earth, the solar system, and the galaxy beyond. For the alien observers, a new variable had been introduced. Humans were no longer passive. They were awake, and that awakening was unpredictable. The war that Earth never chose had entered a new phase, one of strategy, observation, and unseen forces. And in the quiet shadows of space, the first true challenge awaited humanity, one that would test not their weapons, but their minds, their courage, and their ability to survive in a galaxy that did not forgive weakness. The morning sun rose over New Haven, but the city below was restless. Fear lingered in the streets, faint but persistent, like a shadow that refused to disappear. Citizens whispered about the lights in the sky, about the strange anomalies in communication networks, and about the missile that had wiped out Haven's End. No one knew the truth, but the feeling of unease was universal. Inside the New Haven spaceport, Commander Elena Park walked briskly down a corridor lined with blinking consoles and holographic screens. Every display showed satellites, energy signatures, and fragments of data from the fragment Lyra had recovered. It pulsed softly in its containment field, guiding and warning in equal measure. Elena's mind was focused. The first move had been made, the careful communication to the alien observers, but that had only opened the next stage. The signals were coming faster now, more complex, and the observers were watching closely. Humanity was being tested, and every misstep could cost lives. "Commander," David Lee said, coming up beside her. "The new signal came in last night. It's different. More intricate, like a map layered with multiple patterns. Almost as if they're trying to teach us something, but slowly. Very slowly." Elena nodded. "We've barely scratched the surface. This is about observation, understanding, and strategy. The question is, how fast can humans adapt without making a mistake?" Meanwhile, Lyra Solis sat quietly in a corner, tracing the fragment's pulses with her fingers. She had grown attuned to its rhythm, sensing its subtle variations. Each pulse seemed to carry meaning, a silent language of intention and warning. "They're pushing us," she whispered to herself. "Not with force, but with knowledge. And we have to keep up." Across the globe, nations began to prepare discreetly. Military bases increased surveillance, satellites were repositioned, and research teams worked tirelessly to decode energy patterns and build predictive models. Yet, each effort was cautious. Public panic had to be avoided at all costs, because the observers were watching not only Earth's capabilities, but also its decision-making under stress. At the Council, debate had grown sharper. Some members urged immediate aggressive action, attacking the fragment signals, launching reconnaissance missions beyond the solar system. Others argued that the alien presence was far too advanced, that any reckless move would be catastrophic. General Marcus then stood, his uniform crisp, but his eyes dark with worry. "We have two choices: react like children to a game we barely understand, or act with strategy. Every decision now defines whether we survive this test." Elena stepped forward. "Then we act with intelligence, not aggression. Observation, prediction, and adaptation. That is humanity's greatest strength, and right now, it is our only weapon." The Council finally agreed on a multi-layered plan. First, decode the incoming signals with extreme precision. Second, simulate potential alien strategies and reactions. Third, prepare human defenses, but keep all actions invisible to the public. It was a delicate balance, and failure could mean disaster. In the meantime, strange phenomena continued to ripple across the planet. In Siberia, satellites recorded lights darting in impossible trajectories. In the Pacific, naval crews reported energy surges that temporarily disabled equipment. In the deserts of Africa, farmers noticed strange reflections in the sky that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Humans were noticing patterns, but only fragments, clues pointing to a far larger game being played. Lyra's fragment pulsed more intensely than ever. It was as if it had sensed the global activity, the coordination, the human attempts to learn and adapt. And then, subtly, it changed color, flashing a deep blue with tinges of violet. Dr. Anil Khanna, monitoring the fragment, realized something extraordinary. This isn't just a passive signal. It's teaching us, step by step. It's interactive. Every analysis we do, every pattern we recognize, it responds. It's like a tutor but also a test. Mara Chun, sitting beside him, whispered, "It's pushing us, waiting to see if we can keep up. If we make a mistake, we'll know it immediately." Meanwhile, global tensions escalated. Governments suspected one another of secret preparations, unsure which nations might provoke conflict inadvertently. Rumors of espionage, sabotage, and hidden technologies spread across diplomatic channels. Humanity's internal divisions became a secondary battlefield, even as the true observers remained unseen in the void of space. In orbit, the alien observers watched humanity's responses. "They're clever," said the lead alien figure, its form shifting like liquid silver. "They respond, adapt, and predict. But their impatience, that may be their weakness." A smaller observer tilted its head, eyes glimmering. "Should we apply pressure? Increase the challenge." The lead alien's gaze remained fixed on Earth. "Not yet. Let them continue. Their unpredictability is intriguing. If they survive the next stage, they may prove themselves worthy of observation or alliance." Back on Earth, Elena coordinated the first simulation exercises. Using the fragment as a guide, human analysts built predictive models of alien strategies, running thousands of scenarios in virtual space. Each simulation tested response times, logic, adaptability, and decision-making. Every outcome was fed back to the fragment, which pulsed and shimmered in real time, subtly guiding or correcting errors. Lyra sat at the center of the operations room, her hands hovering over the fragment. "It's teaching us to think ahead," she said softly. "Not just react. Not just survive. It's asking us to grow." The first major test came unexpectedly. A sudden pulse from the fragment triggered a warning in the simulation network. A hypothetical strike was projected to target a major city, not with weapons, but with an energy pulse that could disrupt human communication and power systems. Elena and her team had to react instantly. Every calculation mattered. Every decision, every microsecond, could mean the difference between understanding and catastrophic failure. "Prepare countermeasures," Elena commanded, her voice calm but urgent. "But remember, we must not strike first. Observation and prediction first. That is our only advantage." The team worked feverishly, following patterns, calculating probabilities, adjusting defenses. Outside, unaware citizens experienced only brief flickers of lights and minor outages, effects of the alien energy pulse, but no one suspected the true cause. Hours later, the fragment pulsed a deep green. The danger had passed. Humans had responded correctly. Every decision, every adjustment had been precise enough to survive the test. Elena exhaled deeply. "We did it," she said, though her relief was tempered by the knowledge that this was only the beginning. Lyra looked at the fragment. "They're impressed. But I can feel it, it's not over. Not by far. The next challenge will be harder. They're not teaching us, they're preparing us." In orbit, the lead alien observer noted the outcome with interest. "Their strategy is acceptable. They learn quickly, adapt intelligently, and survive. But the next test will reveal whether they are capable of more than mere survival." The smaller observer tilted its head. "Do we accelerate their challenge? Push them further?" The lead alien's form shimmered. "Yes, but subtly. They must remain unaware that the stakes are escalating. Their growth is what we seek. Their resilience. Their potential." Back on Earth, global leaders were beginning to feel the pressure. The combination of strange phenomena, military simulations, and secret research created tension that no single government could control. Alliances strained, public order was challenged, and the sense of vulnerability grew. Yet, humanity also began to show unity in unexpected ways. Collaborative research projects, shared intelligence, and a cautious awareness that survival depended on cooperation. In the quiet of her lab, Lyra held the fragment close. The pulses were no longer just signals. They were instructions, a rhythm that spoke to her directly, guiding thoughts, sharpening intuition, teaching patience and foresight. She could sense the magnitude of the challenge ahead. Humanity's first victory had been survival. The next challenge would demand more: courage, intellect, and perhaps even sacrifice. Elena observed her team, proud yet wary. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We've passed the first stage, yes. But the observers are testing us. Their goals we cannot yet understand. Every move we make will be watched, calculated, and judged. Our survival depends on learning faster than they anticipate. As night fell, the fragment pulsed once more, sending a final message for the day. You survive. You learn. You adapt. But the next stage will test more than intelligence. It will test courage, resilience, and the spirit of humanity. Prepare. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the alien observers plotted the next phase, subtle and unseen. Humanity had proven capable of observation, prediction, and adaptation. But the galaxy's true test was only beginning. Earth was awake now. But whether it would survive the trials ahead remained unknown. The first real shock came without warning. Across the globe, sensors and satellites began to register a sudden spike in energy activity near Earth's orbit. At first, scientists thought it was a natural anomaly, solar flares, asteroid fragments, or a glitch in the system. But then the lights appeared. They weren't satellites. They weren't ships anyone had ever seen. They shimmered with an unnatural iridescence, moving in coordinated patterns that defied human understanding. One by one, they formed a shape in orbit, a circle, then a lattice, then a massive, spiraling formation surrounding the planet. Commander Elena Park stared at the monitors, her stomach tightening. They're surrounding us. All of us. Every major city, every ocean, every continent. David Lee's voice was barely audible. Commander, they're not here to talk. They're testing our readiness. And it's unlike anything we've simulated. At New Haven Spaceport, the fragment pulsed violently, as if reacting to the approaching threat. Lyra Solis instinctively held it closer, feeling a vibration in her hands that made her chest ache. The pulses were no longer gentle guidance. They were urgent, insistent, almost commanding. They're warning us, Lyra whispered. But it feels like a test, one we can fail. The council convened in emergency session. Screens showed the alien formations above. No transmissions, no messages, only movement. Their patterns were precise, synchronized, and intimidating. Every motion suggested calculation, intelligence, and a patience that humans had never encountered. General Marcus then clenched his fists. We've been preparing, studying, simulating, but simulations cannot teach us instinct. This is real, and it's the first real test. Failure is unacceptable. Elena took a deep breath. Then we rely on what we've learned from the fragment. Observation first, analysis second. Any reaction must be measured and precise. One mistake, and we risk provoking them. In the control room, Dr. Anil Khanna and Mara Chin worked frantically, decoding subtle energy fluctuations within the alien formation. The patterns were deliberate, rhythmic, and structured. They resembled a language of mathematics, communication without words. They're observing our response times, Mara said, pointing at the monitors. Every action we take, every hesitation, every calculation, they're recording it. And they're learning from it too. Lyra's fragment pulsed brighter, sending a wave of energy through the room. The projection from the fragment shimmered, forming a new pattern, a series of points and lines, a map of interaction. It was as if the fragment was telling them how to respond, to move strategically without panic. Suddenly, one of the lights in the alien formation detached and moved toward Earth at incredible speed. All sensors registered it. A strike, a test, or perhaps a probe. It was unlike anything human technology could match. Elena barked orders. All defenses online. Do not fire unless absolutely necessary. Monitor its trajectory. Prepare to respond, but remain calm. As the object entered the upper atmosphere, it stopped abruptly over a major city. Its glow pulsed, bathing the surrounding area in an eerie light. Citizens below screamed and fled, unaware that this was a test, a demonstration of alien power and observation. Then, unexpectedly, the object emitted a pulse directly toward the fragment in Lyra's hands. The fragment absorbed it, glowing with a brilliance that temporarily blinded everyone in the room. Patterns projected from it, twisting and shifting faster than human eyes could follow. It's communicating, Lyra shouted. Not with words, but with logic. Instructions. They're showing us what to do next. Dr. Khanna analyzed the projected patterns. It's a series of vectors, directions, timings, and sequences. If we replicate these precisely, we can avoid a real strike. It's like a puzzle, but at planetary scale. Elena took control, coordinating teams worldwide. From satellite operators in the Arctic to naval commanders in the Pacific, from military strategists in Europe to research teams in Asia, humanity moved as one. Every calculation, every adjustment, every countermeasure had to be exact. The fragment's guidance was critical. It was the only link to understanding the alien test. For hours, Earth held its breath. In orbit, the alien observers watched closely. They adapt faster than anticipated, said the lead figure, its form shimmering with curiosity. But will they maintain precision under pressure? Or will panic take over? The smaller figure tilted its head. Their resilience is remarkable, but unpredictability remains. One mistake could be catastrophic. Back on Earth, the pulse sequence ended. The alien object stopped, hovered, then slowly retreated to rejoin the main formation. Humanity had survived, by fractions of a second, by inches of precision. The planet's leaders exhaled, relief mixed with awe and terror. But the lesson was clear. The aliens were testing not just strength but intelligence, cooperation, and composure under extreme pressure. The fragment's pulses slowed, calming the room. It projected a final sequence, a three-dimensional lattice that formed an abstract symbol, a challenge, an invitation, or perhaps a warning. Lyra studied it, feeling the weight of responsibility. "They're impressed," she said softly. "But they're not done. They're preparing the next stage." Across the planet, citizens returned to their routines, oblivious to how close they had come to being overwhelmed. Governments maintained calm publicly, while secretly continuing preparations. Humanity had faced its first real test and survived, but the cost of failure was now undeniably clear. The council reconvened. Counselor Maya Reynolds spoke, voice trembling but firm. We survived. But this is bigger than any of us imagined. How do we prepare for what comes next? Elena met her gaze. We keep learning. We keep observing. Every move, every decision, every calculation counts. They are testing our resilience, our intelligence, our ability to act as one. And the next stage will be harder. Global scientists, strategists, and military leaders worked together as never before. The alien test had forced humanity into unprecedented collaboration. Old rivalries were set aside, replaced with cooperation born of survival instinct. Lyra continued to study the fragment. Its pulses had changed. It was now more than a tool. It was a mentor, a guide, a bridge between humanity and the observers. Every day, she felt herself learning, adapting, understanding patterns that were once incomprehensible. And then a subtle change in the alien formation was observed. A small, controlled energy pulse was sent toward Earth, not as a strike, but as an assessment. It moved with intelligence, measuring response times and coordination. Humanity reacted instinctively, deploying defenses, monitoring effects, and communicating globally. The pulse dissipated harmlessly, and the fragment's glow intensified, signaling success. Humanity had passed again, but the observer's eyes, though unseen, remained vigilant. In the quiet of the night, Elena addressed her team. We've survived 2 stages. The fragment is guiding us, teaching us. But the alien observers are patient, calculating, and relentless. Every next step will be harder, more dangerous. Our survival depends on staying ahead and thinking as they think, before they act. Lyra held the fragment close, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. It's like they're waiting for us to understand fully. And when we do, everything changes. The alien observers, distant and enigmatic, recorded every pulse, every calculation, every human decision. They're learning, the lead figure said. Faster than expected. But will their spirit hold when the next challenge is no longer just a test, but a choice of life and death? Humanity had awakened. It had survived the first direct threat. But the next phase of the test, the true challenge, was approaching. And this time, there would be no simulation, no guidance from the fragment. Only instinct, strategy, and courage could save the planet. Earth had survived its first contact, but the war it never chose was no longer distant. It had arrived, and the observers were patient, waiting for the humans' next move. The skies over New Haven glowed faintly, not with sunlight, but with the pulse of the fragment. Its rhythm had become almost musical, syncing with the city, the planet, and the minds of those who had grown attuned to it. Commander Elena Park stood at the observation deck of the New Haven spaceport, looking at the horizon where satellites, communication arrays, and defense systems formed a web of humanity's ingenuity. Every eye on the planet was trained on the heavens, every mind prepared for the next stage. "This is it," Elena whispered to herself. "The moment we've been preparing for. The stage where Earth proves itself." Lyra Solis stood beside her, the fragment cradled in her hands. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat, each flash carrying knowledge, instructions, and warnings. She could feel it guiding her, not telling her what to do, but showing her the possibilities, the paths humanity could take. "They're waiting," Lyra said softly. "They've been patient, but now it's time. I can feel it. The observers want to see if we can act, not just react." Below them, the council chamber buzzed with controlled urgency. Every scientist, analyst, and military strategist was working in synchrony. Holographic maps displayed alien positions in orbit, energy pulses tracked in real time, and the fragment projected potential sequences for human response. General Marcus Venn addressed the team, his voice steady despite the tension. "We've survived tests. We've adapted. We've learned. But this is the moment where knowledge must become action. Our first true decision as a united Earth will be observed, analyzed, and judged. Fail, and we lose more than lives. Succeed, and we prove we belong in the galaxy." Across the planet, sensors registered movement. Alien formations, once distant and passive, were now converging subtly toward Earth. Their approach was not a strike, but a test of timing, precision, and human coordination. Humanity had never faced anything like this. The fragment pulsed violently, projecting new patterns, sequences of energy, light, and movement. Lyra studied them carefully. "They're giving us the blueprint for what? Defense? Communication? Or a final test?" Elena knew. It's all of it. Observation, adaptation, and courage. They want to see how humans think when the stakes are no longer hypothetical. The first move was initiated. Using the fragment as a guide, humanity projected a response signal toward the alien formations. But this was not a simple communication. It was a demonstration of Earth's intelligence and coordination. Every satellite, every sensor, every piece of technology became part of a single, unified organism. Signals were encoded with mathematical precision, layered with redundancies, and transmitted across multiple frequencies simultaneously. In orbit, the alien observers detected the signal immediately. The lead figure shimmered, eyes or their equivalent, focusing on Earth. "They act deliberately," it said. "They coordinate. They adapt. This is unexpected. Their potential may exceed our initial calculations." The smaller figure tilted its head. "Do we escalate? Apply more pressure? Test them further?" The lead figure's form rippled like liquid metal. "Not yet. Let them demonstrate their capability fully. This is the final stage, the awakening. Their response will reveal their essence." On Earth, the response unfolded like a choreographed ballet. Defense systems aligned, satellites adjusted, and communication arrays pulsed with synchronized energy. Every calculation fed into the fragment, which projected a holographic map of energy flows and patterns. Humanity's collective mind was operating as one, predicting alien movement, adapting to shifts in formation, and responding in real time. Then the first direct contact occurred. One of the alien crafts detached from the formation and hovered above the Pacific Ocean. Its surface shimmered, reflecting starlight in impossible patterns. A pulse emanated from it, not a weapon, but a probe. The fragment reacted instantly, projecting a counter-sequence of light and energy. The probe hovered, testing, then retreated, seemingly satisfied. Elena's team exhaled collectively. Humanity had passed the first part of the final test. But the observers were still analyzing, calculating, waiting for the ultimate measure. The fragment pulsed again, more intensely this time, sending a wave of energy that reverberated through the planet. In every city, every lab, every home connected to the system, humans felt a subtle shift, an awareness, a connection to something larger. The fragment was no longer just a guide. It had become a bridge, linking human cognition across the globe in a shared network of understanding. Lyra felt it clearly. We're connected, not just to each other, but to them, to the observers. They're letting us understand their perspective, their logic, their patience. In orbit, the alien observers noted the change. They comprehend more than expected, said the lead figure. They perceive, they adapt, they act as one. This is remarkable. The smaller figure added, do we allow them to continue? Or do we test their courage further? The lead figure's gaze lingered on the pulsing blue planet below. We observe. They must now show initiative, not just compliance. The final test is not survival, it is choice. That choice came suddenly. An energy pulse from deep space, unlike any seen before, began approaching Earth. It was not aimed to destroy, but to challenge. The pulse would disrupt global systems if humanity failed to act. It was a test of instinct, strategy, and courage, the final measure of their readiness. Elena turned to her team. This is it. The observers are testing our initiative. Not with fire, but with judgment. Every move counts. Predict, adapt, act. Humanity must prove it belongs. The fragment pulsed violently, projecting intricate sequences that traced the incoming pulse's path. Lyra and her team analyzed it, translating patterns into human understanding. We replicate these sequences exactly, Lyra said. We can redirect it safely. But it has to be perfect. Global coordination became instantaneous. Satellites, power grids, communication networks, and even civilian systems were synchronized, following the fragment's guidance. Every human, every machine, every calculation contributed to the effort. As the pulse approached, the pattern unfolded perfectly. Earth reacted with precision, and the pulse dissipated harmlessly, its energy absorbed and redirected. Humanity had acted as one, intelligent, resilient, and courageous. A profound silence followed. The fragment glowed softly, pulsing rhythmically, as if acknowledging achievement. Across the planet, humans felt a surge of awareness, a recognition that they had passed the final test. In orbit, the alien observers recorded the outcome. They have chosen correctly, said the lead figure. They have shown intelligence, coordination, and courage. They act with foresight, not fear. They are ready. The smaller figure tilted its head. Ready for what? The lead figure's form shimmered. Ready to awaken. Ready to join the galaxy. Ready to be acknowledged, not as prey, but as a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, Elena Park exhaled, her body trembling with relief and awe. We did it, she said softly. We survived the tests. We woke up. Lyra held the fragment close, feeling its pulses slow to a calm rhythm. They're satisfied, she whispered. But more than that, I think they respect us now. We've shown them what humanity can be. The alien formations in orbit shifted subtly, no longer threatening, but observing with quiet curiosity. The energy patterns they emitted now resembled acknowledgement, perhaps even admiration. Across the planet, humans began to notice changes. Energy anomalies subsided, satellites returned to normal operation, and the strange lights in the sky no longer flickered ominously. The world was silent, but alive with potential. Elena addressed the council one final time. We've passed the tests. But remember, this is only the beginning. We've awakened not just to survive, but to exist in a larger universe. Our choices now define the future of humanity. Lyra looked at the fragment, now glowing softly, almost peacefully.
We've learned, she said.
We've adapted. And now we step into the galaxy as more than Earthlings. We step forward as humans who can think, act, and survive. In the darkness of space, the alien observers watched Earth's final response. The lead figure shimmered, its voice echoing softly in the minds of the humans attuned to the fragment. Earth has awakened. Humanity is no longer unknown. Their courage, intellect, and resilience are acknowledged. Their place among the stars is earned. The war Earth never chose had not ended. It had transformed. Humanity had survived, learned, and grown. And in the vast expanse of the galaxy, a new chapter had begun, one where Earth's fate was no longer dictated by fear, but by intelligence, courage, and the unwavering spirit of its people. The observers withdrew, silently, leaving Earth aware, awake, and ready. And humanity, united for the first time on a cosmic scale, looked up at the stars and understood that the galaxy would never underestimate them again.